I'm Groot.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wright at the Movies. If you're looking for reviews on movies, you've come to the right place. Today I'm talking about A Monster Calls. It stars Felicity Jones, Liam Neeson, Sigourney Weaver, and this kid. I don't remember his name. Louis McDougall, something like that. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And it's a big Oscar-hopeful movie. It's that time of year. See, movies only really have two kinds of seasons. There's the blockbuster season and the Oscar season, and we are definitely in the Oscar season. Sometimes there's some blurred lines, sometimes movies cross demographics, but that's kind of the situation. And while A Monster Calls is a really good movie, it is definitely Oscar bait. It's about this little boy, and he's obsessed with monsters, and his mother is sick. And so the way that he copes with his sick mother is drawing. He draws monsters, he draws everything, he draws anything. It gets him creative, it gets him thinking. Him having to take care of the house and himself and his mother is forcing him to grow up. But that's the last little spark of childhood within him. And then one day, an actual monster shows up and tries to help him.
Be cold. For a monster.
They share stories, they go on adventures, and they become best friends. And then the movie happens. And while movies like this can sometimes be seen as cliche, that's not always a bad thing. A Monster Calls is sometimes a little predictable, but that's not to say that it's not heartfelt. The movie works really hard to get you to see the world through the eyes of a little kid. A smart kid, sure, an imaginative kid, yeah, but a smart, imaginative kid. That's the operative word here, kid. So when a giant Groot-looking monster comes out of the ground, you actually kind of believe it.
What shall I destroy next?
Break the windows!
Break them yourself.
Liam Neeson playing this 10-foot-tall tree monster, delivering lines that are beautiful and heartfelt, is just plain strange. It's weird. Like, who thought of this movie? Liam Neeson is a great voice, and he's great as playing a tree, and this character is also really interesting and cool. I don't know if I necessarily want a sequel, but I definitely want to know more about this monster. And actually, the whole cast is very interesting. Felicity Jones from Rogue One plays the mother, and she is miraculous in this, playing a sick woman. And that's a hard role to pull off, especially in Oscar season, because most of the time it feels kind of melodramatic and over the top, but she pulls it off.
It's okay that you're angry. I'm angry too. And if you need to break things, by God, you break them.
And Sigourney Weaver is great, because obviously, she's Sigourney Weaver. If she can survive this, and she can survive this, she can sure as hell survive this. But the main character is really where this movie shines. Child actors always have a lot of work ahead of them. It's a really daunting job, I can imagine. And playing a character that's dealing with grief, anxiety, depression, and stress, and yet also still a glimmer of hope is really crazy. He makes it all look easy. He's giving us his all, and he's showing it all on screen, and that's really powerful stuff, especially for a kid his age. And the final scene in this movie is Oscar-worthy in and of itself.
How does the story begin?
With a boy. Too old to be a kid. Too young to be a man.
And the directing in this is also really interesting. I don't know so much if I'd ever give this a glowing review. There definitely are flaws with it, especially in pacing, but it's so interesting. The directing is just fascinating to me, that you can balance a quiet character piece about dealing with grief and growing up, and also spooky monsters. I mean, that just doesn't happen. A Monster Calls is a movie that makes me feel like a grown-up adult movie critic that watches real movies about human struggles. And yet there's also monsters in it, so that's cool. Sure, it could be reviewed as predictable. Sure, it could be reviewed as cliche. It could be reviewed as slow and boring. It could be reviewed as melodramatic. And at times, all of those criticisms are technically valid, but there's something here, something special. Overall, I really liked A Monster Calls. I know it's a little bit late for me to talk about this one, and there's far bigger movies that I've yet to talk about, but I had to talk about it because
I wish I had 100 years. 100 years I could give to you.
it's a beautiful movie, and it tries so much, and it achieves so much. Maybe not everything, but it tries hard. I'm gonna give A Monster Calls 1 thumb up. Did you see A Monster Calls? What did you think? Comment down below. Thanks for watching Right at the Movies. Please remember to like and subscribe, and you can check out some more reviews right here.
Come on.